You have arrived to the Plunge into Prosperity podcast, where sacred wisdom meets regenerative wealth. I'm your host, Brandi of Sacral Capital. Now let's plunge in.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Plunge into Prosperity. I'm Brandi. Today's guest is Mindy Eng, CEO of MD Alliance Solutions, the management services organization behind Advanced Dermatology PC. Roughly 40 dermatology locations across New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, a multi-state platform scaling with private equity behind it. Mindy started her career at the bedside as a registered nurse and spent more than a decade in emergency medicine, clinician, and administrator at the same time. She moved into the C-suite as COO of a multinational fertility center, scaling its operations for outside investment before joining Advanced Dermatology as VP of New Business Growth, then COO, and now CEO of the management services org that runs the entire network. She's a master prepared board-certified nurse executive and a former adjunct professor at Rutgers School of Nursing. She is also one of the most clinically grounded operators I've come across in the C-suites of modern healthcare. A woman who has not stopped saying, in every seat she has held, it starts with the patient. Mindy, welcome to Plunge into Prosperity, episode number 10.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, for sure. We like to always start off with, why don't you let our new listeners or current listeners know why they should continue listening to this particular episode?
I think because we are at a intersection in healthcare, the system is very complex and, kind of what was working or what not working, and just kind of talk about, the new path forward and new ideas and just, all the changing environment. I think that's in healthcare right now because it is such a hot topic and very vital to all of us living longer, and how we need to fix the system.
Yes, that's one of my theses of my fund is healing broken systems.
Yes.
Or repairing antiquated systems, and consumer health is one of them. And so Mindy, aside from the career and business answer to that, why should they continue listening to you personally?
Because I think I bring a lot of passion to it. I wear many hats. I like you said, I started at the bedside. I was there. I was in the thick of it. I feel like I really identify with the clinicians. And my whole core purpose, in my professional career is really just to, first learning how to heal the body, and now it's learning how to heal the system. So I am very passionate about all topics related to that. I think we're in a great opportunity of area right now where there's a lot of investment and a lot of new tools that are coming to market just to make healthcare more accessible, just to understand our bodies more. I'm super passionate about women's health, and that's a very understudied area. So, I could go on and we could go in 100 different directions, but
I could too.
Yeah, love to just, I think if this is your area and this is your passion, I'd love to connect. And, again, we're here to network and we're here to connect. So, please listen and connect with me outside of here.
Yes, community is so important in any industry. And now, when did you first discover what prosperity means to you, or what is your version of prosperity? Or answer both.
Yeah. So it's holistic, right? So again, I think it's evolved over life. So I am in my 4th decade of life. So I think I have bloomed each decade. I would say that for me personally, it was really moving from like a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset, so really going from like a survival mode to, there's possibilities, world of possibilities, and they're kind of endless.
Yeah. Survive to thrive. Yeah. I have been, I will go back to your beginning response to our listeners. Some of them know, some of them don't know me. And I have also lived a life of studying my body, both mental, emotional, physical, as well as spiritual. I was a professional dancer for 21 years, ballet, tap, jazz. And you always hear these quote unquote horror stories of the body, breaking down after putting so much, pressure and, trauma on it. And so I got fascinated when I got out of college and went to South Florida and started my career out of college. And I started studying plants and the body and food in the body. And how to repair the body in those ways. And so then between owning my own marketing agency and then figuring out if I was going to go into venture capital, private equity, I was about to become a naturopathic doctor, an ND. But then, I'm also in my 4th decade. I'll be 41 in a couple weeks. I was looking, I was like, wait a second, we're not allowed to practice this. Yeah. And I could only go to school in I think it was at that time, 2 different states to become an ND. I could only practice in those 2 states. So I was like, let me see if I really want to go full force into this. So I started getting my food as medicine and healthcare certification from the Health Sciences Academy, healing with nutrition, I got my herbalism certification from herbalism school. My grandmother put me in meditation school, so I was already doing mindset and scanning of the body type of healing. And then I got my energy certification, healing through Body Talk, which was originally created by a chiropractor. And after that, I never charged anyone for my insight. I just felt like I needed to be giving it as free knowledge because everyone should know this. So that's just who I am now. If people are like, oh, I'm not feeling well, or especially women's health, which we can jump into real quick. Women were like, oh, I'm getting cramps, or, I have this, or I have endometriosis. I'm like, start taking Shatavari. Okay. Shatavari is an Ayurvedic asparagus root extract. I haven't had cramps in 15, 18 years. It cleans the blood. It cleans impurities from our female system. It balances our hormones. It slows down menopause. It's like, there's just so many great things out there that we could be sharing, both from, and I'm an advocate for both, all types of medicine, right? So it's not just this, but yeah, please share us like that journey of the fertility side first, because I think that's a huge topic right now in women's health, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so me personally, I think my prosperity journey, if you will, I think it was a lot of emotional too, like, healing. So, coming from a place where, I was like my mother and father divorced when I was early. My mom passed away. I was raised by my grandparents. So I really kind of got thrust into this caregiving role very early in life, which really led to my nursing career. And, once I was in nursing and kind of, learned to be an administrator, first learning the body and then learning the system, for me, it's been more of how do we correct the system? Because like you said, what you're alluding to basically is more of that naturopathic way of medicine like that. And here, it's a lot of, working in the ER, especially, it's giving prescriptions and doing this. And, it kind of gets to be the catchment for everything, right? So people are coming there for primary care, whether they don't have insurance, whether they don't
Which
have.
we do need.
And a lot of it, right. We
I'm
need.
Not against it if it's emergency.
100%. But a lot of it's lifestyle, right? So it's all of these things that you just need to kind of slow down, pay attention to your body. So speaking to fertility, that's a big thing. I mean, working in fertility, yes. And there's, so many avenues to go there. But really, I think it's also, having me, I had my children when I was 40, so and there's a lot of women who are waiting till later in life to, to have
waiting.
Whatever reasons. Yeah. And it's also being in tune with your body and understanding all of these, reasons why your body are reacting a certain way. In fact, right now, just, probably a little too personal, but we'll talk about it because it's not. But even going through your own thing, I know I was struggling with fertility on a personal level, and my doctor thought I had PCOS, right? But I didn't check all the boxes. So he's like, I'm gonna diagnose you with this, but I'm not gonna, I'm not sure if that's what it is. So now fast forward, I've had a couple of kids, it's I'm starting to hit perimenopause stages.
Yes.
And I'm going back to see a practitioner that it's a concierge practitioner because this doesn't exist in medicine right now. But PCOS is now PMO. I'm probably going to mess it up, but PMOS, right? So they're now saying it's a metabolic condition, right? And so all my lab work is now pointing to this.
Isn't that a lot of our waterfall effects is metabolic?
Yes. But now it's starting to be a really well talked about, subject, and there's starting to be more information about, but something that was never studied, right?
No.
Because it's completely unique to the body.
A study on our clitoris just came out.
Yeah.
That I didn't even know about. Not if you want to talk about too much information, but they literally, they also stopped doing studies on women in medicine in the 90s for a while.
Yep.
something, or they just started? Was it just
Yeah. Well, most of the studies that are out there really are all based on, on men, so
Yes.
like there's just not a lot of studies out there on women. It's starting to be talked about now, and some of these conditions are starting to come to light now because there's a focus. And that's what I love about the private markets. So,
Mm-hmm.
we won't get into that, but working in the private markets, like that's part of the attraction for me, is that there is this cutting edge, and not even cutting edge, but just like finally paying attention to some of the stuff that really matters, when women's health, of course, being at the forefront of that, because there's such a huge opportunity. And, just being women, regardless of where we are in life, we always tend to put ourselves in the back seat, right? So it's, our family comes first, our parents come first,
Mm-hmm.
especially being in that sandwich generation age right now. It's like, even
Mm-hmm.
myself, like I barely see my own primary caregiver, and like I work in healthcare every single day,
Yes, yeah.
Uh, so it's like, if you're
I
not, yeah, you're just,
I
so
heal
yeah,
myself all the time.
yeah,
Yeah, because yeah, I'm traveling a lot. In between when I am not traveling, I like to be like in Puerto Rico. I moved here. I took the plunge here. Better, healthier living, air quality, like slower life. But
yeah,
then I get back out there when I'm on the road and it's full force. But I need to. I'm studying constantly different things on how to heal my body and whether it's a emergency. Like I accidentally swallowed a shard of glass the other day from a cup that I guess got washed,
yep.
but it was a very tiny slither. And my man, he's a doctor, dentist, but a sleep doctor, so forth. And I'm messaging him in New York, and I'm like, okay, I didn't want to scrape it with my fingers. I put water in my mouth, and then it went down, and I was like, oh no. He's like, you're just gonna have to let it pass through. And I did get all the little symptoms of like the
Right.
belly aching and like a little bit of like rumbling and it's fine. But what did I need to go to the emergency room right away? No.
Yeah.
Did I just need to let it pass? Yes, but there's these little instances where you have to put it on a Richter scale of, okay, do I really need to go to a doctor for this, or can I look at what's going on in my life now? Obviously, sure, washing a glass and not seeing that's totally different. But what am I looking at in my life currently? I notice that if I'm not putting my feet in the earth and grounding, and that's one huge thing. If I'm
Hmm.
not getting out in the sun for in the morning or at night, like when the sun is setting, for at least 20 minutes as well while I'm grounding, I noticed a huge difference.
Hmm.
My food, especially if I, for 2 days, restaurant food that I'm not choosing the highest quality option,
Hmm.
notice right away.
Yep.
Right there. So those are like those like effects. And as I am getting older, I will be 41 and I plan to have kids like between 45 and 48, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
which is doable. There's
Yep.
so many women doing that now. And I have been taking the things to do that. What do you do on a daily basis from a personal care, from fitness to food to grounding? Like, what are some new novel ways that you're also
Yep.
implementing that you're seeing a difference?
Yeah. So I first of all, like sleep, like, so I prioritize, so I get up in the morning, I do Orange Theory. That's my current obsession. So I do
Yes.
that about 3 to 4 times a week. But I get up really early to do it. I do like 5 a.m. classes.
Yeah. That's good for
And,
the female
but right.
cortisol,
Yep. Yep.
right?
And it just to make, yep. And like, honestly, just to get out all that extra energy, right? So if you're
Yeah.
thinking about like what you got to do for the day, like today, it's like, all right, like, what do Brandy and I
Organizing.
going to talk about today on the podcast,
Yeah.
what else do I have on my agenda?
Yeah.
But like definitely need that, just like to kind of get out that extra energy. And I'm pretty fortunate in that, at least with my work schedule, like I have a great team. So we work, we're hybrid, so sometimes we're in Long Island, sometimes we're in New York, sometimes we're working from home, so
Mm-hmm.
depending on what's going on there. So I like that change. Like I feel like having
Mm-hmm.
that energy space and kind of moving around and being in new things. I'm involved in various groups, so
Like what?
organizations, the networking, like so I'm a chief member. I am an executive member in the Fourth Effect, which is working with startups and,
Yeah.
doing that. I have obviously my normal job, my, 9 to 5, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
but also like working with various companies, I think, and founders and advising and, being in that different spaces to kind of hear like what's going on. So that really fuels me. I have
Mm-hmm.
2 boys who are very active in sports or whatever. So, I'm on the soccer field a lot of days or whatever
I love
season it
that.
is, basketball or,
Yes.
football, whatever
Yes.
that is.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think just having a good network and like being open to it all. Like, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like life's very fluid and I live in
Mm-hmm.
a very fluid manner. Like there's no start and stop of anything. It's kind of all coming at once.
you've been learning to follow your
Rhythms. Yeah.
the rhythms, yeah. And
Yep.
then we'll go back now to you going on your healing journey. Did you do traditional therapy, analyst, like which
Yeah,
type
so
of?
I had traditional therapy,
Yeah.
when I was younger. I was actually required to do that just because I had such a loss at
Yes.
such a young age.
Yes.
And like, we're talking about the 90s, like the early 90s, when I was
Yeah.
like in middle school and high school. So very different than like therapy was kind of just coming to the forefront. And I was being
Yes.
raised by my grandparents who, they were in their 70s at the time. They had lived through like the war and like depression. So like they
Yeah.
had like real true
And
hardship.
they don't want to, and that generation, they just were like, whatever, it happened, and put it inside you and keep going.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was, so I did that tradition, but honestly, it didn't really speak to me. I would have to say, I think that
Right.
I think it definitely got the feelings out, and a lot of it was like a lot of group therapy where you're with like other like peer likes that have had similar situations. But I think like in my 20s, like when I got a real job, like I was so I was married, I was married early,
Hmm.
and so I spent my like that the 20 to 30 was like a grounding time for me. Like I had a solid partner, I got career focused. And I think it was in my career when I started doing like professional mentorship, and like being
Yeah.
forced into some of that and like just understanding like that's when it was like, wow, like, I was so like, I just need a job and a paycheck and a roof over
No.
my head and whatever. And then it was like, wait a minute, there's like this possibility that I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like this
Yes.
is at the end. And it
Oh,
was
you
like,
just gave
but
me
like
goosebumps.
having just a mentor or somebody who you look up to say to you, like, well, what do you want to do? Well, why don't you just go do that? And I'm like, you mean I can? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was like, wow. But that was like really an awakening period for me, if you will. And then, in my early 30s, I ended up like, getting a divorce. And really, it was just, being in two different places because, it was like all of a sudden, like I was in this, again, the survival mode for so
Yeah.
long just because of everything. And then it was like, no, I can like move into this abundance and I can do whatever. And, I was just like, I want the whole
You were
world.
ascending. Yes.
Yeah. But with
Well,
that
I almost
came like,
cried on that story
yeah,
because I know that feeling. My family came from, we were born in a trailer. My mother left my father when I was 2, but I didn't even know that. Found another man when I was 4 who ended up becoming my father and adopting us. But inside of the body, even as an infant, even if you are a baby and you don't physically remember it, the body knows it.
yes.
And so, and then also now all these great studies are coming out about epigenetics, and you can see trauma in our DNA 6 generations back. So I'm always like telling people, listen, that whatever trigger you're having right now, it's most likely not yours, because
Yeah, right.
probably 30 to 60% of it is the other people's before you, your family before you. And so I kind of like to calm the energy with that little fact,
Yep.
and people go, okay.
Yeah.
But
Makes sense.
and yeah. And then with my grandmother putting me in meditation school, I started, healing my body this way. But I got goosebumps. I cried because yeah, it's so beautiful that you even learned at that young of age with what you went through, that there is a whole world that we can be, even if it is just one industry. I wanted to be brain surgeon, heart surgeon, marine biologist, astronomer, CIA, and dance choreographer. So I was like, how
I
can
think
I?
you've ticked some of those off. I think you're checking it.
Yeah, I was like, how can I be? Well, I love all of these, and so then I I was like, oh, marketing and business. I can work in any of these industries. Then I ended up working for a global agency, and then I ended up starting my own. And then I accidentally raised 50 million for Formula One electric racing. And then I got into venture capital, private equity. I'm like, now I can even really more so work with them, not just help with their marketing and social media and business development. Now I can invest in them and be a seat and be an advocate, and just I forget what it was called that you just said, this startup, what is it called that you are a part of, the startup
Fourth
mentorship?
Effect. Yeah.
Fourth Effect. Okay, I've
Yeah.
never heard of it.
Yeah. They're like a platform. Yeah, they're awesome. Oh my God.
Yeah, and so it's similar to that, where I can be that fourth effect,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know, to founders. And so I help them now build out their data rooms. I help make sure that their studies and their research and where they're going is on point to raise capital with. And now I'm launching a $110 million fund to invest in women-led businesses, not women-owned, thank you, women-led businesses, but one of the pillars is consumer health, and I'm doing the full ecosystem. I won't invest in something if it's not helping the other play grow. So there's a combo of VCPE plays, and it's like it starts with like I said, the top of the food chain,
Yep.
which is better quality food, higher dense nutrient, organic food at a lower cost for more of the masses, and precision farming technology, all the way down to I would love to know more about what you're doing and investing in, many startups that that are in the health field that are coming out that allow consumers, people, humans to take better control of their health, and data is a huge one of those. So tell us what you're getting involved with. What do you have on your plate right now? Are you
I'm not currently raising, but I currently invest in in different companies. But
okay?
I really, to me too, it's really about access, right? So it's about access, and then whatever kind of speaks to me. It's like using some of these platforms to full cycle, like exactly kind of like what you're saying. But also like I think it really comes down to like the founder too, so it's like investing in people, right? And,
Yeah.
really trying to put your effort forward in things that are actually going to make a difference. For me, it's like, we talk about, health access is obviously very difficult. Also, just having the right providers that are accessible,
Yes.
so I think, again, just kind of bringing it back to some of my, my personal stuff too. It's like, we're in this space and it's like, there's not really a provider that really focuses on, like that woman's health or, like the perimenopause space. People are bridging it between their primary and their OB. And listen, I work in healthcare. I know how challenging it is, and like
Yeah.
you're trying to get the patients in, and sometimes there's a long wait, so you're trying to squeeze them in, and like the providers, are stretched for time, and they don't have the ability to spend the time with the
Yeah.
patients either. So it's
This
like,
is something I've heard.
what are the solutions that we can put in place to make care more personal, and to give the provider the time that they can spend with the patient without being burnt
And
out,
their
without having
families.
to worry about like, and their families, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
And
Because
yeah.
their health is also important,
Yeah.
right? It's creating that bandwidth availability for them too.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's also, yeah, so it's a lot of like working, and, on some of those solutions, so like what
Yeah.
are the solutions? Where are the platforms that are, being able to give access, and that work for everybody, that work for
Yeah.
the healthcare providers, that work for, the patients that are coming in, that provide the access. So just, creating kind of that balance. And then, again, AI is obviously like the big, term right now. So what are those solutions that are taking off some of that administrative burden, because that is
Yes.
challenging, and and there's so much that goes into that, because a lot of it is controlled by insurances, and what can
Yeah.
be taken and what have
My
you.
man just built his own app inside of Claude, connecting all of his wearables.
Yep.
And then he also is working with Apnodent, which is like it's the only sleep apnea not a wearable that actually starts to slowly construct the mouth, because actually most sleep apnea is caused by not going through the birth canal, and because you're not getting natural adjustment.
I can't hear you. We lost sound.
There we go.
There we go.
Sleep apnea is one of the number one causes, is because of not being
Yep.
naturally adjusted through the birth canal. We're just finding this out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he created his own app, doing his own studies on himself, because he didn't go through the birth canal, and he has sleep apnea, and not as heavily. But so he put all of this data, all of his wearables, his blood pressure, everything, you name it, into this app, and it's badass. And he just uses it for himself right now.
Yeah.
And it's like and he did it with AI. And
Send it my way. My husband has sleep apnea, and like I can't take it.
My guy does take sleep apnea patients. Even though he is a dentist, he's also now working as a sleep doctor as well. So yeah, we can definitely work with him. And it's really and that company is raising money, by the way. Yeah.
Wow.
The Apnodent is what they're called. So with that being said, it's AI is really an amazing tool if it's used in the highest good, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so I'm very excited about what's going on with it. And yeah, so can you tell us a little bit more about what your current role is, and why people should contact you if they need to contact you, or your firm, your
yeah.
your practice?
I mean, yeah. Again, my we have a 40 location practice here in New York and North Jersey. So we are direct care. Those are all, inpatient clinics. We are 90% general dermatology, so a lot of medical dermatology. We do cosmetic derms. We have plastic surgeons on staff.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a full service, operation there. Again, I also, work with startups and advising and consulting. So, you can always reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm an operator by heart, and that's my core love. So I love learning about new things. You can find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So
Can you tell
whatever
them,
you're calling in,
spell out your name and the name of the business so that the transcript will grab it as
Sure.
well.
It's
Yeah.
Mindy. My last name's Eng, E-N-G, to find me on LinkedIn. And the sites that we oversee is Advanced Dermatology PC. Yeah. So I'm out
beautiful.
there and love to.
I'm going to contact you after to see if you'd like to be an advisor
Yeah.
on my fund. That would be a lovely conversation to have with you.
100%.
Sure. And
I'm
then
so
when
glad.
I go to New York City all the time, so I normally when I go into cities where I've have a network that I've always had in my life or a new network of women, I like to curate Plunge into Prosperity events. So that's how this originally started, everyone, this podcast. So when I'm there in New York City, it's probably going to be end of August. Let's co-collaborate on that for sure.
I love that. I love that.
Mindy, it was amazing to have you. Your spirit is infectious and your passion for the industry is, and it's an honor to have interviewed you as a guest here on number 9 episode of Plunge into Prosperity. Everyone, check out Mindy. Reach out to her if you need. If not, go to plungeintoprosperity.com. And thank you again. Have a prosperous day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for plunging into sacred wisdom and regenerative wealth with us. If your soul and your portfolio just got a glow up, hit subscribe on YouTube, Amazon, Spotify, and Apple. Share it with your crew. Tag us on social and join the movement at plungeintoprosperity.com. I am Brandi Koloski. Catch you on the next plunge.